all those the referrals coming in, the cases, everything like that, and you look at the manpower behind it. Mm-hmm. Is there enough? Right. Oh, I wish we could double my division. I wish we could double it, but we can't. We can sit on lots of cases, and we're constantly going. We are on call. Someone in my division is on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's holidays. That's everything. And then our squad for child death is 24/7. We're constantly running and gunning. We're going. And so when I hear about cases that happen like this, I feel like I wish we could save every child. I wish that we could change every single child that struggles with anything, that's taken out of an abusive home. But it takes a lot to take a child out of an abusive home. Right. It's not easy. It's not what people think. Well, we can go there and we can just snatch your child and we can place them someplace. It does not work like that. And then we have also people that know about child abuse, but in our community, we don't want to get our family in trouble with the police. Right. We don't want to call on Uncle so-and-so because we don't want to be the one that snitched or anything like that. So we report to CPS. You got to realize there's two aspects of that. CPS is not going to do charges on somebody. CPS is going to look at the safety of that child, the child welfare. The officers are going to hold that person accountable on a criminal aspect of it. And so it's a two-part. We work our cases hand in hand a lot of the time. And so CPS does their thing and we do our thing. CPS might say, okay, y'all are good to go, but we might have a whole nother criminal aspect of it that we pick it up and we're like, yeah, you might have them, but you still broke the law and now it's time to enforce it. And so there's so much things that go into one case that it's not as black and white as people think it is.
Just to touch on that, because of course a big part of the Malia Davis case is the fact that there was a CPS investigation. The child was placed back into the home. It's tough to know what is accurate. I know that that's public record kind of thing. I have not read, any transcripts or anything like that. But the general opinion is that there was abuse, determined to be abuse of some type on some level, but they couldn't determine who was responsible for that. And then the decision was made that child be placed back into that home. Is that, from your understanding, is that accurate?
I've never read the case. The most I know about Malia is what you guys get on TV also, because it didn't come to my division. Mm-hmm. It went over to homicide. So I know the guys that work up there, they're awesome investigators. Mm-hmm. When we get kids that have lost their lives, we're putting our all into it. Right. Yeah. It's just hands down. There's no questions about it. I have not met an officer for my agency or another agency that sees a child victim that does not pour their everything.
I agree with that. I mean, I've had individuals come on the program and even get an opportunity to talk to Quan Lex, who was kind of vilified for some of the way that he moved about in this case. I don't necessarily have a problem with it because I think some of the things that he was able to do, helped push the case forward. But at the same time, even he had to say that he believed that the two investigators that were assigned to the case were outstanding detectives and were doing everything that was within their power in order to solve this case. And so these are the things, again, it takes us back to the same point. If we don't heal ourselves, even with that type of help, how far can we go?
I think it's a strand though. So you're with the legal side. So typically when by law, we have to report CPS, like you're saying, that's just an investigation. And so I would say, and I don't know the whole case either, but I would say that there were some things that fell through the cracks. So typically with most parents, before getting them into the home, they have to have therapy before being released. They have to go through a program. So a lot of times, not only are you working with the kid, but sometimes I'll do therapy for parents, and it's mandated for you to get your child back. Don't know if that happened, but if it would have happened, at least that would have given some type of documentation or insight. But it seems like, based on what we get on the news, that she was just returned. And like Monica was saying, it's really difficult because the court looks at it. We want to keep the family unit, and they're not going to get deep involved. It's just like, okay, we're going to do enough just to get this back. And as long as she looks like she's halfway decent or she's trying, but I do think therapy should have been in place or mandated for her. And then that whole relationship with the the background checks and with the boyfriend or whatever was going on, there were a lot of things that a lot of people either looked over or dismissed. And bystanders, like you said, with that idea of, oh, I'm not going to snitch. I guarantee you that there were some people that knew something was going on. And so this is just kind of a reminder to us in our community with the work that we do, but also everybody has an obligation, so that these things don't happen.
That's why it's so very hard for me to, become a part of these conversations in the community about what everybody else should do and how everybody else should save us, when you have people right in your community that are doing harm and you're not doing anything about it.
Right.
You have your cousins, uncles who are drug dealers living in your house. You have the uncle that you know is raping the children, and you're not doing anything about it. But you want to have these conversations about reparations and all of this other stuff, but not actually focus on the issue. That's why I can't get involved in those conversations.
It's tough. I talk about it on the program. I've done it many times, and I'm glad that I have Detective Monica. And I like that. I know they don't use that. I'm sure I know they use your last name on the job, but I kind of like Detective.
No, they call me Detective Monica.
I was just like,
I'm the few that actually goes by my first name.
So I have a two-part question. One, why is it that every time I've been arrested, the officer doesn't look like you? That's number one. And secondly, when we talked about what we have to do in order to be better, and I've spoken about it on the program. I've said it loudly, and I know a lot of people don't care, for the stance that I take on this. But I feel like we as a community are so responsible for so much that happens to us and that doesn't happen for us. How difficult has it been for you, especially someone like yourself? Because we're gonna run down a list of things that are wrong with you right now. Okay, so here we go. You're young, you're black, you're female, well spoken. You don't talk black. All that other stuff. And then how difficult is it for you to actually go into the community and investigate a crime and get results when the people who are closest to the crime aren't willing to speak to the police, to investigators, to actually help solve these crimes? And now it becomes your responsibility to take 3 pointers from half court instead of the layup, because we know somebody out here knows what happened. You can just tell me. How difficult is that for you?
So the first portion of it, it's so funny that you said something like that, because when people see me, they're like, an officer, like, you look like a girl. Well, I'm a woman. Before I put on my uniform, before I put that gun on, I am a woman. And like I just got done telling our female cadets, carry yourself like a woman.
Right.
Because that is going to be one of your most useful tools when you are out on the street. Our presence alone has the capabilities of changing the atmosphere on scene. Mm-hmm. We have the presence and the mindset that we can calm the situation.
I was going to say, it's a de-escalator.
It is. It definitely is. And I go to work like this every single day. They tease me. I have hair done, makeup on. I spend the hours, nails, everything. That I take care of my looks because presence is very big. Because I am a detective, because I am out in the community, I don't want to appear to not take care of myself. Right. Because self-appearance, it says a lot about you. Mm-hmm. If you look sloppy, you're going to do sloppy work on my case. That's what people are going to feel. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, my appearance definitely is very purposeful. Right. The second portion of that, about going into our communities, it is a struggle within the Black community to get the cooperation that you need at times. And so I find on the child side it's easier. Right. Because kids, when you think about a kid getting harmed, you're like, oh yeah, somebody has to do something. I still do hit up against walls sometimes, but on patrol, baby, getting the information I needed was like pulling teeth from a tiger that's hungry. It wasn't happening. And it's just one of those things where I have to really take a step back and realize it's not me, it's the history of the institution that I work for. Right. And I understand that law enforcement was not built for us. Right. It was historically not built for me. Mm-hmm. And so when we have that and we have those understandings and the history that we have with the Black community and law enforcement as a whole, it's painful. And I understand that pain. And so I try my hardest to let my community know you have resources. If you feel like you have been done wrong, file the complaint.
Right.
If you feel like that something wasn't handled correctly, file the complaint. If you feel like your investigator is not taking care of your case, ask, follow up. This is your investigation. This is you. And so you want to have that as your baby. You know, even if it's just your purse getting stolen, we might not be able to find it, but we want to give you the best information possible. And then I use it as a teaching tool also. Don't judge me off of your other interactions with any other officer, because I am my own person. That person might have had a bad day, or they just really might be not a good person altogether. Not everybody is built to wear and represent what law enforcement truly is. Not everyone is built to be a teacher. Not everyone is built to be a lawyer. You're going to have bad apples in every single bunch. It's harder when the bad apples are supposed to be there to protect and serve you.
Right.
It's harder, and I understand that. And I think just being a Black female minority gives me a completely different perspective of law enforcement. Because I ain't like the police when I was growing up.
Right.
But now I am, you know. And so I use my tools that I learned teaching. Me and Stephanie worked together at Hightower back in the day. So we came from education. I use those experiences. I use what my parents have taught me, what they've instilled in me, and I stand firm in who I am. I'm always going to side on the side of right. I'm not going to do convenient. I'm not going to do politics. I'm going to do what's right. And so if that means I'm standing in the fire, I'm going to go ahead and fade that heat, because I understood when I took my position, I'm here to protect and serve my community. And sometimes it means protecting and serving against who I am working with and who I'm working for. And so that has always been my stance and my job, and that's what helps me push through.
You know, so when you hear that, you know, big shout out to Hightower one more time.
Okay.
So when you hear that, because that can be tough, and I can only imagine what that's like. So when you talk to individuals, when you do your counseling, you talk to individuals, you know, how often are you sitting there saying to yourself, "My God, why haven't you told somebody this?" You know, how often does that happen?
So I think mine is different because I'm more. Your personality, this is not to your personality. I think that people are thirsty for knowledge and for wisdom, and they're looking for people that look like them. So me and the way that I talk, and even like with working with younger kids, they see tattoos. So it's like they look at you, not to say that's okay, I'm gonna put that out there, but they see that and they're like, okay, she gets it. They see that, okay, she has kind of an edgy personality. I can tell her stuff.
They can find themselves in their community in you, and so that makes them more comfortable.
So I get lots of information, and then that gives me the opportunity to say, okay, listen, this is what you have to do. Let's sort this out. Let's work through this. And so going out in the community is important because we're changing the way that therapy looks. Because in their mindset, if you say, well, you know, have you talked to somebody? No, I'm not crazy, miss. I don't do that.
Absolutely.
Especially with males. With males. So males tend to be more aggressive when you ask them if they want to talk to someone. And so sometimes you have to meet people where they are. And so us going out to the communities, having these community events, talking to them one-on-one, you can teach basic education in the community and then say, hey, you know, if you need something extra, here's my card. You can come talk to me. I have therapy. And they're more likely to be more receptive because you're opening the door. They're not going to come to you. It's like church sometimes. You can invite somebody to church and they might say, yeah, all right, but they're not going to show up. But if you are alongside of them and say, hey, I'm here with you. Come sit next to me. Right. It creates more of that sense of synergy. Right. And then they tell other people.
I get it. But that's y'all fault, though, when it comes to black men. That's y'all fault.
No, that's a whole nother show.
Why? Because every time a woman has said, David, we need to talk, it was something I did wrong. We want to talk about something I'm doing. That's y'all. That's why we don't want to talk. You talk to somebody, no, I haven't, and I'm not going to.
That's a whole nother show. But I do think it's important to get to young men while they're at least open to speaking. And so just finding different outlets. Like a lot of the young men that I work with, they like writing. They'll read the poetry.
Right.
Now, okay, tell me something. And so music is a good outlet. So just getting out there and teaching them coping skills. Even if you decide, hey, therapy's not for me, miss, I don't like sitting cooped up, there are so many different alternatives. And I think just getting out there and giving them that education and giving them options. People need options. That's what it is.
Yes.
One of the keys to being successful with people, and this is why a lot of psychologists, and I have to tell me the psychologists and psychiatrists fail helping people, is because people don't want to be stigmatized as crazy or something is wrong with them. So you can't present yourself as a doctor or something, because that's for sick people, and so music is definitely a good way to get to the youth, because that's the language that everybody's speaking. Hip hop is the greatest form of music all over the world right now, and so that helps. Definitely more of a hip style, just a regular everyday person who just gives advice. That's your best way at getting to people, honestly.
I agree with that.
Just being authentic. People, especially with kids, like she was saying, we work with high school kids, and they can definitely sense, okay, she fake, and so just building that relationship is important. Even when we go to like career day and we go speak to schools, they're like, oh man, this is what a therapist look like. Oh, can I come talk to you? And they start telling me, I'm like, no, confidentiality, we can't talk about your problems here. And so just teaching them that. It makes it fun, but also it kind of lets them know, we are here. We're kind of like superheroes. You the cute officer. I'm the hood therapist. So it works.
Okay, so in that note, get your opinion. We talked about this story a little earlier today. We talked about this young lady, this 10-year-old, who became the youngest person in history to climb the 3,000-foot nose route on Yosemite's El Capitan Mountain.
Wow.
This young girl may be the best 10-year-old rock climber in the world, 10 years old, and I said that may sound nice, but that is crazy. There's no way I'm letting my daughter dangle 3,000 feet in the air from a rope. I don't care. We can play with Michael Jackson on his baby over the balcony, and he certainly wasn't 3,000 feet. You could have caught that baby. He'd have been just fine. 3,000 feet in the air. Come on. Am I wrong here?
So
I gotta put the parent hat on.
Detective Monica, will I find your baby dangling 3,000 feet in the air?
No, sir, you would not.
Okay, that's what I wanted.
No, sir, you would not. It ain't happening. We ain't hiking. We ain't doing bears, lions, tigers.
Oh,
We're not doing none of that stuff. But we will be doing rodeo. We will be riding horses.
Okay, that's
wait.
That the parents were also rock climbers.
I know.
That's what I'm saying. No. See. This is the thing.
Not getting the whole story and all the information I need to make a correct judgment.
And we just talked about how parents.
My 3-year-old ain't driving either. It don't just because I do it, my 10-year-old is not gonna do it.
Okay, but I think
I like to have.
I'm gonna chime in.
I'm not gonna crack a bottle with my 10-year-old just because I'm a grown man. My 10-year-old ain't dangling off 3,000 feet on some rope. Am I the only one? What? Wait a minute. Is there a mother over there in the corner?
I'm a mom.
How old are you?
I'm with the dad. Hey.
But you're a rock climber though.
He take his daughter because he was right there teaching her.
Yeah.
Okay, this lesson is going to stop at about 12 feet. You know what? It's the same thing. If you learn to climb from here to there, you know what? It's the same thing for the next 2,988 feet.
So setting parameters is important. So I teach a class called Parenting Styles, and I just talked about how we impose our own issues and impede our children.
I'm sorry, gravity is not my issue.
So dad is a rock climber. I think that's good. Like set some boundaries. Say, hey, okay, I'm glad that you're interested in this. This is what we're gonna do, because I could put on the parent and then the therapist hat, like just mix matching. Mm-hmm. Just setting like, you're gonna stop here. We can find some people. We got a whole team. We find some people. Have them on standby.
Right? I ain't climbing though.
No, and this is my job.
Well, I zip lined and it was fun. So it's a family engagement. We talked about outdoors participation.
I'm not gonna catch my 10-year-old behind the wheel of a semi.
Okay, but as they get older, they might be interested. But you can ride together. I think that's a good experiment.
You don't need a license to climb. You need a license to drive. They gotta be able to
Parameters. Back to parameters.
I don't need a license to jump off the roof of a 10-story building either.
I know, and you have people do it.
My dad used to let me drive his trucks. I think I was like 15. But that might be. Am I supposed to say that?
back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day. My dad used to be a truck driver, and like when he would do like the smaller trucks, and he couldn't see at night. Like as he got older, he would let me drive. Like I put like a little pillow and just be.
How does this somehow invalidate my point? She just said, "Hey, when I was a kid, me and my dad used to break the law together." I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Is there a statute of limitations? Why are your hands so far out?
Nah, she good.
She did too.
Oh my God. America, this is what's wrong.
I guess I get my little story.
Yeah.
My dad put me in the driver's seat on his left.
My God, what is happening in America?
That's why they love us.
We should be launching an investigation right now.
We turned out okay. No, but I definitely think.
Monica, you need to find her father.
Well,
and he needs to be questioned.
But listen, I think as long as you set parameters, and the fact that it's like a family outing, it's not like she randomly went and you was like, "Oh, Dad,
you gotta be 15 to drive."
"Oh, Dad, I'm climbing up the mountain. See you when I get home." Like at least you were there.
The first time she climbed.
Well, we know the girl didn't have hiking and climbing gear in her backpack.
Okay, so you were the responsible parent, and you were You were with that at some point because you took her along.
I'm fine. Yes, this is what I do. We love it. And when you get older, you can do it too.
So who's watching her? I have other questions now. So who's watching her if you were going to leave her and do your climb thing?
What are you talking about?
I'm saying if she's not climbing with y'all.
So those are my only two choices. Either she got to be dangling 3,000 feet an hour on a rope, or there's got to be choices in between that.
If it's a family outing and you and the wife are climbing, who watching the child?
That's what I'm asking. That's neglect.
That's not neglect.
Yes, that is.
We can all be there. Wait a minute. Are you telling
what are
me
you doing? Waving down though?
I go to family reunions and I may have a beer. That don't mean my 10-year-old can have one.
But you have set parameters to say, hey, this is not what we're doing right now. So if you tell this kid, okay, this is how far I want you to climb, then I think y'all should stop there with the kid or leave them with someone else, and then you go climb.
We sitting up here talking about a child who just did something great. 10-year-old defeating 3,000 feet on a mountain, and we sitting up here talking about why this child shouldn't be great. I'm confused.
Because he brought it up.
I can also go on YouTube and look at videos of people failing at trying to do something great.
Hey, well, guess what? That's just a part of life.
So a fear of failure.
You know, we talked earlier on the program about an Indian magician who attempted to do something great and ended up being dragged from the river 2 miles down the road, trying to escape from chains and ropes.
I don't think you can't teach our kids to live in fear, though.
No, you can't.
Like, I mean,
and you can't teach them to fly either.
Why not?
My cousin taught himself how to fly. By the time he was 16 and they went on a commercial flight, the pilot told my aunt that.
That's why kids have anxiety.
That's not the flying we're talking about. Now, he didn't teach him to fly. He taught him to be a pilot.
No, he taught himself how to fly.
He taught himself to be a pilot.
Yes, but he had to fly.
That's right. When you know what? If we're not skydiving, I'm sorry. There's
okay,
no way.
So you, but what you're doing is projecting your fears onto the child.
Right.
I don't think understanding that a 3,000-foot fall will kill a child.
Did she survive?
Yes.
Is that the only?
No. Did she survive?
Yes, she survived.
Okay, well then we
alive.
good. We good.
And
oh my goodness! Until the day that she's not.
And she broke her.
But you can walk outside and not, you know, like I mean,
you walk outside and get hit by a car. You can walk outside with all your exercising 7 days a week and just fall flat on your face.
You can absolutely. Yes. I had a good friend of mine who passed away after a basketball game. He was in the greatest physical condition of anybody that I knew. Had an internal condition. I give you all of that. I'm just saying we talk about the window of opportunity, and I'm not gonna have my child dangling out of a 3,000-foot window.
Well, that is a parental choice, and when she get older, she gonna do it, and then she gonna be like, "Oh, well, that is something I've always wanted to do."
And you know what? I'm gonna say that's wonderful. You know what? She can go get a tattoo around her eye like Mike Tyson. You gonna wait till you're 18 when you can do it, and I can't stop you.
And if that's what you say, as the parents, that's what you say. Okay.
She gonna do that too.
You got my mom up here looking at me like, you supposed to wait till you was 18.
See, there you go. She hung up.
I had a tattoo for like 3 weeks, and my mom didn't even know. Me too. My mom didn't know. I had a tattoo for like 3 weeks.
Ladies and gentlemen,
she never knew.
I am David Austin. You're listening to the extended version of the Morning Drive with David Austin Show, Underwood Radio, heard exclusively on Houston's Home for Jam. We're going to take a short break. I'm going to take a little short musical break. Then we're going to come back. I'm going to try to instill some order into what has out of hand, ladies and gentlemen. And as I continue, my apologies to all the ladies of hip hop because I didn't dedicate enough time to you yesterday. We were talking about the history of hip hop yesterday, and we were just talking about the guys. So I continue my apology, and I'm going to give you one of my personal favorites, Miss Elliott and Hot Boys. We'll be right back after this. I tell you what, but follow you on social media. I want to see you post pictures of your child dangling on the top.
No, but you know what? We have had conversations like that because she wants to go, like I was telling you, she wants to go to the Navy. Okay. And at first, like me personally, I was like, I kind of shrunk away with that. But I try to let her do her own. She want to go out of state. I wasn't allowed to do that. And so that's why I'm real big on how, as parents, we have fears for our kids. And my mom's fear was like, there's so many colleges here. Like, she wasn't ready for me to try and branch out. Right. And I always think about that when I'm working with kids, like even with school counseling, helping them to make sure that they're good to go. Like, what are you losing by allowing your child to explore? You could walk outside, and that's like a biggest fear, especially for people in the hood. Like, we ain't never been nowhere. They scared to fly on planes. What if I can't see?
I have no problem with my child being 30,000 feet in the air inside the cabin of an aircraft.
There's more plane crashes than kids falling off mountains.
You know why? Because there are more kids allowed on planes than up mountains.
Possibly, but statistics can be skewed in any way that works.
They sure can. And I guarantee you, I tell you what, start lining up kids and let them hang at 3,000 feet in the air. I guarantee you those numbers are going to change by the end of the week.
Okay, well, Daddy, listen. If you have a concern with that, next time leave your kids at home and y'all go enjoy the
Exactly.
y'all go enjoy the hike. Like, let's do that.
Life that you do that doesn't come with a risk.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Nobody's denying that. It's a risk for me to get
It's you, it's not the kid. And I always talk about that. That's why kids have so much anxiety because I'm guilty
too. Have anxiety about falling 3,000 feet to the ground. I want that. I want my child to see that and go, wow, that's really hot, Dad. I should back away from here.
What you doing, child? But they're watching you do it.
But you watching me as we don't do it. There's a difference. I'm not going to tell my kid at 10
tomato.
No, adult baby, that's not a tomato. That's not a tomato. You said apples and pomegranates.
Okay, well look,
10-year-old.
You should be like, hey, look, this ain't for you right now.
Right.
Let's let them stay with Granny.
Exactly.
Don't expose them to it and then be like, okay, well, you can stop here.
That's not what we don't expose them to.
Or wait at the bottom and we'll wave down.
Absolutely. But that's not a tomato. 10-year-old hang on my mind, tomato. Not tomato. I tell you what, that's tomato sauce.
Oh, it's a cherry tomato.
It's a tomato up there. When it's the ground, it's ketchup. That's what it is.
It's a cherry tomato.
It's a tomato when it's hanging. It's sauce when it hit the ground. Tell her, Pete.
She did, but I'm not.
Peter ain't kidding. Oh, yeah.
We had a good conversation before we walked in here. This is fun.
What's
a lot of fun.
I have some cards in the car.
In your pen?
No.
Well, Well, you guys can follow me on Hard Work Trending so we can all keep up with each other.
My book is
It's not pretty.
Yes.
We have for resources.
We got about 30 seconds left.
HPD has a lot of feeding programs that focus around minority kids in the community.
And we have a community family reunion coming up in October called Jamz and Jewels. It's the 4th year doing it.
But I look like my dad.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies, we're coming back.
So we can talk about mountain climbing.
You can always, it's kind of like one of those cards that you do like this.
All right, everybody, welcome back, everybody. I am David Austin, and welcome back to the Morning Drive with David Austin and Cheryl Underwood Radio, heard exclusively on Houston's home for Jamz. It is 953jams.com. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you join me today at the Friendly Food Cafe pop-up. It is in the Augusta building on 2603 Augusta Drive, ladies and gentlemen. The Friendly Food Cafe is doing great pop-ups around the city, and a portion of the proceeds go to benefit the World Youth Foundation. So make sure you join me at 2306 Augusta Drive in the Augusta building with the Friendly Food Cafe, changing the lives of children one meal at a time. I am David Austin. We're still in studio. We have the lovely Ms. Priscilla Clark, the author of The 5 Components of Love. I have a Detective Monica in the building with us as well, and Miss Stephanie Davis also author as well. Hard Work, the journal to inspire and awaken your heart. I tell you what, we have some great events that are going to be taking place this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you go out to Mike Rozier's Heisman Weekend Luncheon with the kids in honor of their fathers. And it's going to be this Saturday, June 22nd. Doors will open up at 11 a.m. And that is going to be at the Wyndham in the Energy Corridor. It is going to be hosted by Bishop James Dixon II and his son, James III. For more information about that, all you have to do is visit www.hometeamevents.org. That is www.hometeamevents.org. And if you don't feel like doing all that, you can always toss your children off a roof. All right. So we are back in the program, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
We're doing parent therapy after this.
Tomato. I'll stop it. Come on. I'm not gonna let my child do something like that. It's okay if you want to inspire.
You have a parental right.
Absolutely. Right. That is a parental duty. That is a parental duty. You know what? Hold on.
I wasn't the only person though. Like,
see, there you go. You know what? All the parents out there, everybody else was doing it. When did that ever work?
True.
Mom, did that ever work? Everybody else was doing it. And you know what she would say? If everybody else was jumping off a 3,000-foot bridge.
The irony.
You know,
monkey see monkey do that.
You know,
right.
There was actually a gentleman in Minnesota who I want to say yesterday, who actually lost his life. He died saving his 3-year-old son who fell off of a bridge. He was able to dive in and get his child, but unfortunately, because of the way the child obviously was reacting to what was happening, he was able to hold the child above the water long enough for individuals on the side to jump in and someone able to get the child to the side. Unfortunately, the man wasn't able to save himself. He went under. They didn't resurface when they finally found him. The man had lost his life. And so things like that. And you're right. There are anything can happen. We all know we put our lives at risk just by coming out of the house every day. As just me as a parent, I just can't see myself, willingly putting my child in a situation, that is inherently dangerous, especially when you see individuals with experience that have done this kind of thing, for a long, long time, have lost their lives, in lesser moments. So
right.
For me as a parent, that's just the way that I would look at it. And I get it. If other people feel, opposite, that's fine. I'm just saying, my kid, no dangling. No dangling. You can dangle your kid if you want to. I'm not dangling my kid. All right. So let's get back into, we can talk about so much now that we just decided that we have taken up the parameters off this program. And normally I'm talking about it. But I say let's keep going, by the way. Detective Monica, you shared with us earlier your story and how in this great book, Fearless Faith, you are the first chapter in this where you talk about your run-in, with sexual abuse. And I tell people on the program that I first heard a stat about this, many, many years ago. And it said 3 out of every 5 women at some point in their lives are going to encounter, a sexual assault or an attempted sexual assault. And I thought that is just ridiculous. As a man sitting here listening to that, I'm like, that's 60%. of the women in the world. Like, that is crazy. And I know people try to skew stats to mean what they want to mean, whatever. I thought that was just insane until, as an adult, I started talking to, to different women and asking them, and it was eerie to listen to the number of women that I never would have thought had stories to tell me about their cousins, about their uncle, their older brothers friends, and just on and on. And it was heartbreaking to realize that number, that stat, was a lot closer to being accurate than I ever would have thought.
Ask yourself this: is it really hard to believe, given the fact that nobody places any focus on male sexual responsibility? The male is always told that he can explore his sexuality. He has no control over it. And as a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, that's all y'all think about. That's all y'all think about. So is it really hard to believe that males are actually violating females?
No, I'm not going to say it's hard to believe, but when you think about that number.
In the number. I'm talking about in the number.
That's still, it's not hard for me to believe because I know that number to be more accurate, so I accept reality as it is.
Right.
So it's kind of difficult for me to say, but still, when you think about it, it's like when you read a story and you read a story about a woman doing something to their child or doing something, whatever. I know women are capable of doing anything, that they choose to do, but I would like to, I guess, as human beings, especially as a man, I would like to believe that women are less capable of these heinous acts than are the men, the caregivers, the providers, the nurturers, rather. You know what I'm saying? So I saw a story about this person that was pushed in front of a train. They got murdered. They were pushed in front of a train. And we were talking about this on the program. And I said, it seemed disappointing to know that this lady, got so angry at this other lady that she pushed her in front of this oncoming train. And I said, you don't want to believe those things about the women in this world, which is odd because I also said on the program that somebody came to me and said one of my parents pushed somebody in front of a train. I immediately would have thought it was my mom. Why did she do it? Automatically. One of my parents was more capable of that. It was definitely my mom. But for whatever reason, we don't want to believe that thing about it. And so I don't want to think that there are that many men out there doing that horrible thing. That is so. And then it's like a tidal wave. It's like trying to hold back the ocean if it's happening at that rate.
But think about what's not reported. Well, what's not reported.
Exactly.
And then a lot of times working with kids, and I'll just speak from my situation. Sometimes the lines get blurred, and that goes back to that education, to being able to, first of all, provide a space and understand what rape or sexual assault looks like.
Right.
Because sometimes it can be a person that you're dating. And so a lot of people feel like, because in my situation, it was like that. It was someone that I was dating. I no longer wanted to be in a relationship with that person. And so with the way the climate is, it makes people feel like, okay, well, I shouldn't share that because, maybe, and then you battle with kind of, well, did I ask for it? Did I put myself out there? Like, maybe was I too friendly? Yeah. And so you start internalizing those things, trying to map out, okay, well, where was I at fault?
Right.
And society makes you feel that way.
Right. And that's what I was saying. When society places no focus on male behavior, everything that happens, they always post the blame on the female. So it's the female needs to keep her legs closed. Nothing's ever said to the male.
Like, what were you wearing? Maybe your lipstick was the wrong color. Like, just.
And so because the male is in the shadows all the way around. He's in the shadows from mental health. Nobody's focusing on him. All the focus is on the female. When it comes to appearance, all of the focus is on the female. None is on the male. When it comes to sexual behavior, all of the focus is on the female. None of it is on the male. So the male is completely in the shadows, really, to suffer through his own violence.
To figure it out.
And to do as he pleases with nobody reprimanding him for what he does. So when it comes to sexual abuse, a lot of them are doing things and it goes under the rugs. Oh, you know what? Nobody's going to believe if you say anything.
Right.
And typically they don't.
Right.
Typically they don't. And so a lot of times the women don't say anything. The girls don't say anything. And with the Me Too movement, a lot of people are upset with the Me Too movement